Right. And moving on to, the receivers, obviously, Brandon Aiyuk was a first round pick a couple years ago. He's somebody that I think the fan base is getting really behind, and feels like, we've seen some flashes where this guy seems like he's going to be an elite receiver. Can you talk what you've seen on tape with Brandon Aiyuk and what you see as his ceiling as far as what kind of receiver he can be and where he would fit in, like as far as top receivers in the league?
I'm kind of wary about placing a ceiling on guys. I always never know how to do that or never know what a good comp is. I think he's going to be an elite receiver though.
Mm-hmm.
Just based on what we've seen last season. I mean, he, again, another guy who knows how to get open, can run in space, is a great downfield receiver, which, they didn't really use him a lot downfield because none of the quarterbacks could really throw downfield. But when he was, he did have a few deep passes that he caught, and he was running full speed, wide open, because of what he does at the line of scrimmage and how he understands how to get open. He didn't look as fast to me in college. I think he was kind of hampered by an injury that year, coming out. But you can get the guy the ball at the line of scrimmage, he did this several times at Arizona State, and he's going to take it for a 70-yard pass play, from a screen play, and either score a touchdown or get a huge gain off of it. And that's what he's doing in the NFL. I mean, get the kid in space with the ball, whether it's downfield or whether it's, I think they ran that Debo reverse a couple of times to him, and he's going to make things happen.
Right.
He's just a superior athlete in every possible way against teams that they play. So,
how do you like his route running? Because I think sometimes with the way Shanahan utilizes receivers, they tend to be, sometimes they look like glorified running backs because of all the sweeps that they're running, and you're kind of throwing the ball on a quick slant or something, and then it's all yards after the tackle. But can you talk about just him as a pure receiver, what you're seeing as far as route running, his hands, so on and so forth, rather than just being an athlete? Like, what are you seeing as far as technique with him?
He looks like a 5-year veteran running routes with his release off the line. And for proof of this, go watch any snap in the Bills game, the Monday night game. He's just putting, I think it was Trey White in a blender on a lot of those plays, and he's one of the premier defenders in the league. So, again, another guy who understands leverage, who understands how to release against certain press techniques. And oftentimes he's going to win that rep. I mean, even if he gets like kind of jammed up, he's still strong enough to, I think, muscle through it. And he did that quite often. Whereas someone like Debo had trouble in college coming out releasing in press coverage. But it was somebody, if you got him in space, could, make things happen. Well, Aiyuk is a guy who can get off the jam and press coverage and make things happen in space. So that's where he separates himself from even someone like Debo.
So you consider him wide receiver 1 right now?
Absolutely. There's no question. Like if Shanahan in his mind had like a depth chart of wide receivers, because we kind of know, like, he likes to use them in any position on the field. If he has it in his mind, it's Aiyuk. That's his number one guy.
And what are you looking for as far as, in his second season? What are you looking for him to expand on? What's that next step for him as far as being able to unlock? Because I think us as 49er fans really know what we have in Brandon Aiyuk. I don't think he's gotten the national kind of praise like a CeeDee Lamb has gotten, or, even some of these guys coming out of the draft this year are, I think, getting more hype than what Brandon Aiyuk has done. Obviously, Jefferson in Minnesota had the incredible season he had. But what do we need to see out of Brandon Aiyuk? What's the next level for him to be on a national level, one of the top receivers?
Well, it's kind of up to the 49ers there. They need Aiyuk. They need to throw to him downfield. I mean, that's where Jefferson made his money, was Kirk Cousins taking shots downfield. Obviously, you're not always going to hit all of them, but they very rarely run Aiyuk downfield like that because, Jimmy, Nick, CJ couldn't throw a deep ball like accurately to save their life, and they just never took those shots. the
He
ones that
hasn't
they
really
did,
gotten the opportunity to play with the starting quarterback, to be honest. He's been playing with
yeah, like
backups most of
consistently,
the
right?
season. Yeah.
I think he had the one deep ball in the Patriots game that was wide open, and Jimmy threw him out of bounds.
Hmm.
The momentum of the ball where he caught it took him out of bounds. That should have been a touchdown. Mullins, in my opinion, had, but that's the thing though, is when they did take deep shots to him on the 3 or 4 that they had, they completed nearly all of them. I mean, he had one in the Saints game that Mullins put out there for him, and he had one in the Bills game that Mullins threw down there for him. Was like the best pass I've ever seen Mullins throw. So when they
Hmm.
do get those shots, they're successful, but oftentimes they're not taking those shots for whatever reason, because Shanahan with these quarterbacks isn't a guy that's going to dial up those shot plays very often if he doesn't think he's going to get it. So
I think
they
a
need
lot last
to.
season as well. Last season was just the ineptitude of the running game too, because a lot of those deep plays are usually schemed up when the play action
Yeah,
is
yeah,
as good as
absolutely.
it was, and they didn't have a running game
They
last
did.
season. So
Yeah, they didn't really have it. But that, you can do straight 7-step drop back and just heave the ball downfield and just see what you get. Like, just take the shot. Even if Jimmy starts, let Jimmy air it out. Like, just throw it down to Aiyuk and see what happens.
right.
And more often than not, I think you'll be successful with it. Even if he's wide open, like, it doesn't matter. Just get him the ball, get him downfield, and get him the ball any way you can. Like, that's what they need to do. And if they're just going to relegate him to a role like they do with Debo, then it's not going to, he's never going to progress and be the guy that they want.